afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the 2018 Deloitte Tankard here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. My name is Selena Thompson, and I am joined by Chris Mosier. Not Chris?
Nope, don't think.
Chris Mosier here. Glad you're watching us on Bell 5 TV1. This is the first draw of the tournament. Round robin, top 8 teams in Nova Scotia are competing to get a berth to the Brier that is at the Brant Centre in Regina, Saskatchewan, March 3rd to 11th. So they'll have a month and a half after this provincials is over. We're featuring team Brent MacDougall and Mark Dacey in draw 1. And if you're a channel hopper and you want to flip back and forth here on Bell 5 TV1, you can go over and watch sheet D. That's Fleming and Murphy. Chris and I will try and keep you updated during the game. We're going to focus on our feature sheet, of course, but give you updates as things go. Every win's important when you play 7 games and only the top 3 advance to the playoffs. So hoping for a great game today. Anything you wanted to say, Chris, about what we're looking for or what you've seen in practice so far?
Well, I didn't see too much. Ice looks really quick, which is a bonus. Our 2 end games this afternoon are also going to be Stevens and Power and Thompson and Thompson. So that should be fun. It'll be a Thompson winner.
The brothers matchup. It's always funny, and I can't really see it very well, but keep an eye over on that sheet as well. I don't really have a vested interest because I'm cheering for both teams, but we'll see how things go. So those are the 8 teams that round off your provincials. The top 2 teams from CTRS points, that was Jamie Murphy and Stuart Thompson, advanced to provincials as a result of their points, and the remaining teams had to play off at a qualifier last month in Greenwood, and so that's where Chad Stevens, Greg Power, Brent MacDougall, Mark Dacey, Mike Fleming, Paul is out curling as well, but Mike Fleming, the skip, and Kendall Thompson advanced from that qualifying tournament.
Looks like Dacey will be starting us off. MacDougall must have got the hammer.
Yeah, I was talking to Brent, and I was asking him how hammer's determined because I haven't seen the rules, and they do throw 2 draws to the button in practice. And Brent said, yeah, it's cumulative, but he also told me that one of his rocks went to the hack, which means that it wasn't in the rings, and both of Team Dacey's were. So I think it's just the single best draw, and likely the 2 draws are just used for playoff positioning if there's a tie, like a 3-way tie for second or something like that. So that is Luke Saunders starting us off. Team Dacey throwing the yellow stones, and Luke puts that one in the tight guard position, so tight to the rings.
Brent doesn't look like he's going to waste any time here. Looks like he's going to try to come right in behind nice and early in the end.
So here we have lead Adam Barry, and I'll introduce Team MacDougall. So Adam Barry's the lead, joining this team after an 8-year hiatus. He took some time off and has come back to the game. He's pretty excited to be in the Tankard. Kirk McDermott, second. Marty Gavin is the third, and of course, skip and 4th rock thrower Brent MacDougall. And how about Team Dacey?
Team Dacey, as you said, Luke Saunders is throwing lead rocks. And our second is Steve Burgess, with third Andrew Gibson, and the skip is Mark Dacey. So the first one for Brent just slid just to the back of the button. Looks like we're going to be in for some good play here. They're wasting no time and getting right at it.
Yeah, neither of these teams, from what I've seen in the past, are scared of lots of rocks in play. Sometimes you'll see games stay open and, have a blank end in the first, but big surprise. We got a guard and now 2 rocks in the rings as that soft weight hit didn't quite get the blue stone out the back. And it's always interesting, the jockeying for positioning early in the end. Brent, would like to score 2, and if you can get out of it with a single, that's great. But Mark would like to keep the pressure on early, and that's why you saw that center guard go up, and he'll be happy to play around that center guard as long as Brent will leave it there. It's kind of a tease of a center guard. It's like not right on the center line, but it's tight to the rings. So you could see it as a corner guard, but certainly is protecting the forefoot.
He just tapped to come in and sit down on top of the yellow one there at the back of the forefoot. It's looking pretty good.
Yeah, they're trying to get the last bit of curl out of that stone as well, as that settles in the top forefoot.
Just a little hit on the nose there, just to squeak by the back yellow one.
Seems as though the ice is nice and quick. We're looking at about 4-second split from back line to hog for pretty good draw weight. As we see Steve Burgess throw, he's the lefty on the team.
So Steve's from New Brunswick.
Yeah.
So a team can pick a player out of province if you want, I guess.
Yeah, it goes down to your requirements for the national level. So it goes down to Curling Canada, and there is the rule that you're allowed to have one non-resident player. We see that used a lot with the elite teams, where you'll have one player. Sometimes you have a Manitoba team and one person lives in Ontario, or vice versa. So Steve lives in New Brunswick, and he's curled with Mark for a long time. I think before that residence rule existed, he was splitting his time here and there, but it's easier to live in New Brunswick and curl here now.
Yes, I guess that was a couple of years ago. Because teams were kind of trying to make it work, and it was very challenging. But now it's very wide open, and it seems to work good. Especially where we have small distances between our provinces, it works out quite well. So, little tap and flop, maybe? No?
Yeah, they were looking for a little bit of an inside flop there with Steve's rock just a little heavy and tapping and rolling open. The hit was available for Kirk McDermott, so he made that. There would be a double on the Blues, but I think, without hammer, your good call is to just leave your shooter out front. You can always raise it onto the blue stone later.
It's a nice shot of him coming out of the hack there. That's great.
That's a pretty good result. They were looking for a tiny flop, but they want to keep it open enough that it can be raised later. And the higher up in the house it gets, there is that yellow center guard. We can't see it on the screen now, but it's just above the Deloitte. Of course, our title sponsor, Deloitte. Got to give them a shout out and a mention for sponsoring this tankard yet again.
So looks like Brent's going to basically try the same shot that Mark tried. Seems like he might have a little bit less weight.
Yeah, it looks like it's a bit down. They're sweeping out of his hand. So they are on the front, but Marty continues to sweep because they want to roll the shooter over and at least get it as a corner guard if it's not going to be in the rings.
So that'll open it up a little bit for Brent there. Or sorry, for Mark.
So Team MacDougall is blue. They have the hammer. They are sitting one, but it's now exposed. So it's a chance on Andrews first to hit. He'd like to stick around. Mark would like him to keep the shooter, sit three. So the shooter will roll over and out of play, but they still sit two. So it's a decision time for Brent, I think, here. He'll play pretty aggressive, but maybe realize that, he doesn't have a great chance to get to. You do have those corner guards, which is nice, and they're tight to the rings. I was watching the women's game earlier this morning. Of course, we're sharing the tournament with the Scotties, and so it's the women's division. And the ice is fairly straight. It should kind of start to get a bit more curl as the week progresses, but those corner guards will be hard to get around.
So they're signifying the weight is up more in the, I believe he tapped board. So a little bit more, seems to be hanging a little bit more straighter than he was hoping, but he stuck around. That was the key point there, I think, is keep it in the rings, but he would have liked to either roll behind the center or the corner guard.
Yeah, when you have hammer, you'd like to hide something. And in this case, Mark asking Andrew to throw. They don't have hammer. They actually don't want to line these up to make the double and roll easy. So I'd like to just hit this on the nose. But it's floating out there. It's really only on half a rock right now. So we get the roll out. So we'll see what Brent does here. If he might try and draw around one of those corner guards. I think it's just hard to get behind them. He's calling the hit and roll. So this is safe in terms of protecting the blank.
Just looking for board weight. You could hit and roll behind the blue one there on your right-hand side. That'd be perfect for Brent. This is Marty's last rock.
Kirk saying it's a little up in weight.
Stick. This is Mark's first one. So Mark's, I'm going to guess Mark's going to want to try to hide something here behind one of them corner guards maybe. Try to force Brent to take his one here.
Sounds like a good idea. I think a tap might be easier than the draw.
Well, it could be. It seems like it's fairly straight here, yeah.
I was watching sheet D. We're on sheet C for this game. I was watching sheet D earlier. There was a lot more movement to the wings, and teams don't play the shots to the wings in practice as much. So maybe they're just not aware that they could get a bit more curl that way. Mark's not going to go around Brent's bluestone. He would go around his own or tap it back, but he's just calling the straight draw here. It's not a bad call either. And we do have our first end completed in this draw in the Stevens power game. Chad Stevens threw a hit and roll out, so he blanked. There was no score in that game. So we're on to skip stones here. The first end. Mark Dacey's up first.
Looks like a pretty good shot.
I think the rocks are gliding a little more than the sweepers are expecting. They wouldn't have necessarily had to pound that as hard as they did, knowing that it was going to glide behind the button, but Brent's not going to freeze or anything like that. He'll just hit it.
He'll try to hit. Probably, if he could, get over to the guard. Get behind the guard. Is that his first? Yeah,
this is his first. Yeah, I think he played pretty aggressively for the roll. The only thing is it's behind the tee line.
That is true, yes.
You can make it so good that the other team is forced to freeze down to it and take your end away. So I don't think he'd be upset with a nose hit. We'll see if they try and call that roll. And we can see more people coming in and joining us here. We're at the Dartmouth Curling Club on Canal Street, downtown.
It's a great spot here. It seems like parking, lots of parking out front. I didn't see any issues, so that's always nice.
Yeah, everyone got a parking spot. They're going hard just to keep the shooter around here. Or maybe roll the other way.
Sticks around the back of the 8-foot. I think it's pretty much wide open from my angle here.
Yeah, so Mark will hit this. He doesn't have to play it too cute and try and make any flop, but if the line looks good, I'm sure they'll be looking for that little tiny roll in behind the corner yellow. You never want to play it so close that you tick the front and you give up a 2 though, so primary goal is just to get rid of the shot stone.
It's going to be throwing fairly down weight. That seems like a lot of ice to me, but
it is compared to the other direction, but it is curling more to the wings.
Curls quite a bit coming off the wing, so that's good.
You can see it breaking off the center there.
Yeah, no, it seems to be going pretty good now. Now they're trying to hold it straight by having the one sweeper on it.
Mark just threw that one a little soft too. We're going hard now to keep it around.
That was a good shot.
Nicely made. So I'm sure we'll see what Brent can see from the other end. There is a blank available. You can probably see a piece of that stone. There we see from the hack side of things. Can't really hurt to go for it. You either draw for one or you go for the blank. Marty likes to draw.
Looks like they're switching to the draw.
It's hard because if you don't see and you haven't played that path, it's a hard shot to throw when you're the skip.
So that was pretty much what would you say Mark was kind of hoping would happen? Play the force for Brent for this end?
Oh, definitely.
So anything full 8 foot will get Brent as one here. Haven't laid a broom to it yet.
He's taking the curl now.
Looks pretty good, I think.
Yeah, it's come to a rest there. Andrew will try, but I don't think he's that good. So it'll be one for Team MacDougall, and they'll take a 1-0 lead after first end.
Just looking over at our other games there, we have Murphy and Fleming. Murphy got one in the first, and our two Thompson brothers, Stewart got one in the first, so it's 1-0 for Stewart over Kendall.
So 1-point games on 3 sheets, and as I mentioned, Chad Stevens blanked against Greg Power, so no score in that game. And as we go into the second here, Dacey will have the hammer. Successful force. It was really one good roll in that last end that produced the force.
Yeah, Mark's last one was a beautiful shot there. That little, played a very soft weight and just got that little bit of roll in behind that guard.
I think that's what we're going to see a lot of this week is the lighter weight hits. The speed is nice and quick. And the rocks, these provincial rocks, are fairly lively. So what happens is when they make contact, you actually get a bit more action than some of the club stones that people might be used to curling with, where you hit a rock and it doesn't even make it out of the rings. Here they're a little more springy.
Yeah, that's great. Makes for great watching and great playing and some great shots. Just going to bring that into the top of the 8 foot. So I missed where he called it. Was he looking to put it in the rings, or was he looking for a guard there?
I didn't see the call either. And with Brent, you never know. His team, you got a little fun fact. We'll go start with one of them. We have a few for Team MacDougall. I guess Brent likes to, or I know Brent likes to play by the math. And his team says that sometimes the rest of them hide his calculator. So this one from Luke is hanging real wide.
Yeah, he was just throwing the corner guard, but he was coming way out there.
So Mark will do that sometimes. He's trying to see, okay, what's the path like out there? What's going to happen? It turns out to be a nice corner guard, because if we are going to get movement to the wings, you do have to have the guard a little further over and give yourself a chance to come around it. Adam just being asked to put a tight guard on top of his nicely placed first stone. And Adam Barry's 27 years old. He's curled for 12 years, and this is his first year back after taking an extended absence. He says it was 8 years. I would disagree with him. I think it's only 6, but he keeps saying 8. Because I know he curled in 2011.
Oh, really?
He curled with one of my brothers in 2011, or both of my brothers in 2011.
You should be using Brent's calculator.
I know, we got the wrong calculator.
That one didn't quite curl over, I don't think, as much as they were hoping, because it's about 3/4 or more exposed. So it looks like Mark is just going to try to get rid of that.
Luke Saunders throwing, going to try and keep a shooter.
Seems to be starting to curl a little bit, might be on the guard. And
because we are still on lead stones, this brings in the free guard zone, which means that that blue stone gets replaced because you cannot remove it from play.
And since it was Mark's rock that was removed, Mark gets to put it back. Is that correct? Is that how?
No, it was Brent's rock.
Oh,
but,
sorry, yes.
Yeah, the non-offending team would get to put it back. Mark put it back. Brent didn't say anything, so I'm assuming he's
they're all good.
happy with where it's at.
Great gentleman's game. So I'm looking out. The spectators on the ice shed seem a little low out there. I don't know. Is it cold out there?
I haven't been out. We have, there are some seats out. If you come on out to the club on Canal Street, I mentioned, the Dartmouth Curling Club. We'd love to have you. And you can sit out at ice level and watch. I think people are staying inside for the first few rounds, and we'll get some fans outside later in the week.
I figure by the end of the week, it'll be packed out there.
Yeah, we've got a busy Tuesday morning already. It's really nice to see people out supporting and cheering on their teams.
So that one overcurled a little bit. The shot stone is still in.
Seating area.
There it is. Yeah, there it is.
Thanks, Chuck. We've got our excellent camera crew, Chuck and Sean, with us here on Bell 5 TV1. And if you're following the scores, go to nscurl.com. You'll see if you ever lose the streaming link, you'll find that there too. So Steve Burgess's turn, removes the shot stone with a soft weight,
and you can
but
see
shooter goes out too.
You can see how lively they were, as you were saying earlier, because he just caught a piece of that and it just rolled right out of the ring. So that is that's great.
Lots of action is nice to see.
Brent's going to try to place this a little bit better, a little bit more behind guard than the other one.
This one has to curl a bit more though. They're just waiting for it. Sweepers knew they couldn't touch it. Sweeping is very effective on this ice, I was noticing earlier. And that one slides just past T a tiny bit.
So Mark will come down and looks like he's going to try to sit right on that.
Yeah, Mark has hammer here. I don't know that even if he gets this one in a good position, those overlapping guards probably aren't helping him. A little surprised he didn't play the peel. Steve can throw the weight just as good as anybody else out here.
So you can see as the weight comes off it, that it just starts to break sideways. That really started to go. Looks like a really good shot there. Or actually, it might have overcurled too much.
Sweepers knew it was a tiny bit heavy. They didn't want to sweep it, and they didn't have to, but that took a crazy amount of curl. It's Steve's intern. He's a left-hander. I know I harp on that in terms of rocks maybe behaving differently, but that's what you can expect, is a little bit more curl usually from someone's intern.
Brent did he tap? He's going to come down and try to sit right on top of that, was it?
I think so, yeah. Really good chance with that Yellowstone being a bit deep to protect the situation even more. I think we'll see Mark go to the bail at this point, as long as Marty's stone is in a good position. If it's heavy, it kind of just creates a pocket, though.
Yes.
That's why they have to be careful.
Looks like it's a little warm. Didn't seem to catch the curl as much as the other one.
No, it didn't, and that's back 8 on its own. Sweepers didn't touch that one. So a bit of hope.
Bit of a break for Mark. You can see down there the crowds are starting to fill in behind the glass, so.
Yeah, and we got a healthy crowd up here too. We're up on the second level. There's 2 levels. There's lots to see if you want to come out to the Dartmouth Curling Club, and there's you can get your food here too, food and drinks. This one was well managed.
It was. You can watch the communication coming down the ice. It's amazing to watch these guys, the way they're talking to one another, like the whole time. One guy's working, one guy's talking. It's great to watch that.
And you could hear a bit of noise there. Mark saying to sweep and Steve saying it's hot. He didn't want to sweep it. Made the shot perfectly.
Is there a double opportunity there for Brent?
Yeah,
maybe?
just as I go to say it's perfect shot, do they leave a double? Depends on how much is visible to Marty Gavin here on his second shot. We'll see as this comes down the ice.
Doesn't seem to be moving a ton.
Hit that quite thin. So that's a miss there from Marty. The reason being, didn't remove either Yellowstone.
Is there something on the ice they're trying to brush off there?
Yeah, it looks like footprints or something like that. They're all checking their heels. Sometimes you get a gripper that gets a little bit old and pieces start to fall off.
Give our 2 umpires out there walking around. Maybe even 3, I'm not sure. So they're watching all the rules and any questions the players may have. They'll help them out, I guess. And, they'll do all the measuring, I believe. They do the measuring for the adults?
Yes.
Yeah.
Steve got movement there, and so did Andrew. Just once it got around that those guards, it really curled. I don't know if it's the Yellowstones, because we haven't seen that with Brent's, but they were maybe throwing a bit extra weight.
Yeah, I was just wondering that if it's weight sensitive at all.
I think it is, especially in the earlier game I was watching on Sheet D. You could get a bit of movement with board weights and hack, but once you upped it to control, and barely any of the teams were throwing normal hit weights unless you needed a peel or something like that. Just because the rocks are lively, you don't have to. So Brent's, I mean, the rocks are behind the tee line, but there's a really good chance for Yellow to score a few here, so he's got a couple chances to make a good freeze, draw into the button area. Just needs to sit on top of that yellow shot stone, and if he does, then his blue stone might not be able to be removed.
Must be a big shot in the sheet next to us because you're really loud over there. So the guys are just watching this one. They haven't really laid a broom to it yet. It's going to have to come a little bit.
It's very wide of the guards. It's so weight sensitive. This is a little heavy, and it just didn't take the curl. Does freeze the back one for second shot.
Yeah, that's not a bad shot. Yeah, Yellow still shot 1 by our look.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, that shot from Brent there, that definitely removes the other 2 Yellows from scoring. But if Mark can put this one in the top 4 foot, kind of where their brooms are, a little bit on the center line, crossing center line, shouldn't be able to remove both Yellows. I don't think you want to be right to the backing, because then Brent can force you to a single by freezing.
Yeah, you almost wouldn't want to over curl those too much, because then Brent could almost freeze to his own blue one back there.
Exactly. So I think top 4 foot's probably the plan, half buried. Deep enough that Brent can't go around, and high enough that he can't freeze to it.
So this is a round robin event, correct?
Yes.
And with the championship game being on Sunday afternoon?
The men's is Sunday 9 a.m. The women's is Sunday afternoon.
Okay, great.
The semifinals are on Saturday. So Mark's first here, looking for the draw.
aren't working too hard on it, so it's looking pretty good. Got to get that curl, though. I don't seem to have the curl that we had earlier. It's starting to go now.
Yeah, I think the weight's there all on its own. You can almost see the difference with these shots as the ones that are moving and not. So it ends up shot, and yellow still sits 2. Brent can certainly play a tiny little freeze tap and sit shot with no hope of Mark scoring. But he has to be careful if he ever puts a blue stone in there and doesn't tap the back yellow for 3rd or 4th shot, or for 4th shot, sorry. And Mark can see a piece of it. Mark will have a very thin pick for 2.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to roll off there at all.
No, you definitely want to sit right on the front. And even if it's on the front, if there's any angle, if it's not on the nose at all, it may be easy to pick out.
So this is Brent's last rock here of the second end of the 2018 Deloitte Men's Provincial Championships of the Dartmouth Curling Club. Being brought to you by Bell 5-1. Trying to wait as long as they can so it'll catch that curl. Just got to be there, though.
It's starting to move now. Adam's really working it. They're going to try and freeze right on the top of that. See if they can get it there.
Ooh, that's a pretty good shot. I don't know. I think he can pick it there and get his 3, or it's going to be tough, I think.
The only thing, if you try and pick, I think the yellow at the back is, he didn't move, Brent didn't move things too much. So a pick on the blue would likely cause that back yellow 4-foot to spring. And I think he would only get 1. So I think this is being played with softer weight. Trying to get more of this blue stone and spring the blue off the front yellow. So I don't think this will be like peel weight. It's probably be a control. You just hit the side. Last stone, second end. Facing 1.
Oh gosh, I think it might have picked.
Yeah, it certainly did.
It's a little unfortunate.
So what looked like could have been a really good shot from Mark Dacey. We had a pick just before the hog line. So it'll be a steal of 1. Brent MacDougall will lead 2-0. It's always unfortunate to see that happen.
Yes, very much so. He never.
And you see Steve there sweeping. Steve had a throw earlier, and I know that he thought there was something under it, because or at least he wanted us to think that he thought there was something under it. So he was sweeping that same area. So we'll have to watch just on the other side of the hog line from the throwing end here.
Yeah, you'll definitely see the players all week just trying to keep it clean for the most part, and that's almost right in that zone where players would be kneeling, so usually they'll get up and scrub the ice off after they get up. Just looking around at the other sheets, looks like it is 2-0 for Murphy over Mike Fleming after 2 ends, and it is 2-0 for
S. Thompson?
yes, S. Thompson, sorry. My eyesight's bad. Over Kendall Thompson after 2 ends. I don't see anything with the second end on between Stevens and Power, so I don't know if they blanked it. They just haven't put the score up yet.
I'm not sure either. There was a blank in the first, and it's hard to tell. Looks like Chad's still 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I think Greg Power has hammers, so I assume Chad scored. Anyway, we'll keep you updated.
We'll let you know as soon as we find out. So we We got a center guard and a corner guard. Looks like we're going right at it again.
Yeah, and I suspect Brent would have wanted Adam to throw that first blue one in the rings. Normally you're up in points. You don't love calling a center guard or any kind of guard.
As the teams start to get a little less nervous. First game for the men, possibly a little jittery. Everybody wants the big trip and to represent the province. It's Saskatchewan at the Briar from the 3rd to the 11th of March at the Brant Center, Regina.
So again, a little light there from Adam, and that wrecks on the front one. Good chance here for Team Dacey to make the come around. You see sometimes teams will try and make the come around those tight guards just because they're slightly overlapping and you don't want to let the team without hammer come around them. But they're so tight to the rings that I think it's going to be very difficult for anyone to make that come around. So Luke Saunders will go around the corner guard that he threw on his first. And it's nice to see the play to the wings, especially given that this is where we're getting the most amount of curl.
Yeah, it's lots of curl coming off the center line. So that passed the guard by a couple inches or more. From my angle, it's pretty much buried, I think, behind that yellow corner guard. So
yeah, we're almost right behind the sheet. Looks like it's very hard to see. It would be buried from the hack according to the camera. So Kirk will try and run it back, and the peel would be okay too. So he gets the run back, but it jams. It doesn't. The raised rock doesn't roll out, so it sticks around. It's open though. It's a lot of blue stones out front, so anything that gets run back now is going to be blue. So it's the question becomes, where do you hide?
Exactly. He's looking.
You could make the same come around, I think.
You could very well. So yeah. It looked like he just tapped the top 12 there, or maybe just slightly behind the center guard.
Yeah, I think so. I just think this is a really hard shot to make.
It's very straight getting to the center line, and once it gets to the center line, it starts to come off, and where you really start to see some movement. This actually looks pretty good, I think.
By the guard by a couple inches. Turned out to be a really good shot.
That was a very good shot, yeah. Oh, it looks like Stevens got one in the second end, so Stevens is up 1-0 over Power after 2 ends.
Yeah, Brent was indicating play on the back there. You got to think, if you're Dacey, you want him to do this and leave the guards and keep the play in the rings.
I might be apt to just run that center guard back. Or
this just, I think, complicates things a little bit. If you miss the run back, it's, unfortunate too.
Mark will probably just come down and replace that.
Yeah, he can do the same thing. He could make a play on his own yellow and kind of split them, but I think, the blue shot rock, and you can actually roll your shooter behind the corner, which would be a great shot. Steve might have been a little tight on that. It was called sweep out of his hand. It's Luke going hard at it.
Did he get it?
Sure did.
Didn't get the roll he wanted, but still sitting 2, fairly open.
Now, some people might look and automatically say, is there a double on the yellows? There might be. It's very, very thin. But I know Brent's seeing if I don't think you can roll it into the forefoot without bouncing off the back. You've got to hit this very thin. It's called board weight. Hit this yellow pretty thin and rub off the back of that top 8-foot yellow. This is not an easy shot. If it's made, it's awesome.
You can see what he's taking for ice there, that he's anticipating it's not going to be a lot of movement.
So the call was board weight, which would mean the rock can easily hit the boards if it didn't run into anything else first. So they got the tiny bit of a roll, but you can see how it would have been really hard to go under that yellow. Hit a little thinner, you would have come off the back of it. Looks like yellow is still shot.
It looks like it from our vantage point. Mark is kind of looking. You can see he's looking to see what's the best opportunity for him here. Definitely don't want to hit it on the outside at all. I think if he hits it on the outside, he might spill his own there. But anything on nose?
Since yellow's shot, he could have just played the come around, but I think that blue isn't too good of a spot. You actually do have to deal with it. But they'll want to get some separation now between the two yellows. They don't want that to roll out, though.
That's unfortunate.
Looked like a well-thrown rock. It's just very straight.
Brent looking at a run back possibly, or?
Yeah, he certainly is. I think it'd almost be tempting. You can run the straight back one. You could angle run the other one, which you could get a really good result.
Well, if you run either one, you might even get a little bit lucky and roll it behind the two guards there and be completely buried. Right now, it's probably half or a little more.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of like playing the side one, because if you run that, at least you're keeping the center guard. Right? If you run the center one back into the yellow and it rolls behind, it's going to be off button a little bit. The angle's easier on the straight back, though.
Throwing the in-turn at this. Try to run it back onto the yellow one.
Yeah, we'll see if this grabs the line at all. Nothing else has curls here. Got to keep it high at the center line. Adam Barry working it.
Couldn't hold the shooter, unfortunately. Kind of gives Mark a bit of an opportunity now to bury one in there a little bit better than the one he had there. Looks to me like he's going to come in behind the center guard. This would be Andrew's second rock.
They're learning the sweep calls. They're doing a really good job of not sweeping too hard for line too early and hurting the line. Or sorry, not too early for weight. Sweepers are, of course, judging the weight. It's the person in the house watching the line. But it is a team effort. So that one went to the back 4 foot.
Just a little bit deeper, I think, than Mark would have liked it. That kind of gives MacDougall the opportunity to come down and sit in front of it. Don't think he'd want to freeze right on top, but maybe just top 4 foot.
No, same as last end. I don't think you want to have it too deep because it gives the other team the out. But I think if Brent's a little heavy on this, you'll see a really good chance for a couple points for Team Dacey.
It's nice. The ice seems fairly consistent where it's there's no big cut like it doesn't when the weight starts to come off. It's still a gradual curl left or right, which is nice. This is Brent's first.
And in case you didn't know, we do play 10 end games here, so we're in the third. There will be 7 more if we go full feature length.
This one doesn't seem to be getting over there as much as they hoped. Might be a little warm.
It looks like it. So stays for shot, but it certainly is wide open. I think Mark can hit it and roll away.
Yeah, I think Mark could go either way. He could even roll over to the wings.
I know what he's looking at here. He's looking at rolling into the side of his own and bouncing back up. He's just saying that because he wants to keep the play well behind the guards and not give Brent any backing. Andrew just talking about maybe just drawing right into the 4-foot and then you hit the blue for your third point. I think you have to deal with the shot stone now, and you really are going for 2. You're not going crazy for multiple points over 2. So the call I like is what Mark just indicated and Andrew just indicated. I think that's pretty good at preserving 2 points. Brent will have to make a good one.
So they kind of tapped all over the place. So I guess I wonder what the final decision is. Are they playing the hit and roll and kind of come back up towards the center, or are they?
I think the roll is to the wings.
To the wings?
The last indication, yeah. I mean, that's what I would play. I think if you do that and even the shooter stays a bit open, Brent's going to hit the open one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So that preserves your 2.
This is a shot here where Mark is definitely would love to hold the shooter. He wouldn't want to roll out here for sure. He's going to want Brent to have to deal with one of his rocks. Actually, I don't know. I think they're playing the draw now.
Looks like the draw to me, yeah. It's a very aggressive call. If it's made, it's fantastic. Needs to stop, though. They don't want that back button. Oof.
Is it, well, it's what, 3/4, maybe a little bit more open?
It's hard to say. I think we might see a little bit more from this camera angle than you can see from the hack.
Yeah, that's a possibility, yeah. Looks to me like he's going to play a hit on it. And is he going to try to clip the back one maybe going by? Or do you think he just push it right through the hole?
Yeah, I think they're playing firm way to try and get the double on the yellows.
Looks like they weren't quite on the same page. Just Brent back down. That's something that communication is so important in this game. The thrower, the person in the rings, and the 2 sweepers all have to be 100% committed to the shot that they're trying to make. Because if one person's thinking one thing and somebody else is a little off, definitely may not get the result the thrower is hoping to get.
You do have lots of experience in your third, Marty Gavin. Marty's Cole's notes on him. He's curled for 34 years. And apparently he only wanted to play, he was going to play senior with Brent and somehow got convinced to play men's. They're both in the senior age category. In curling, that's 50 plus, so I'll leave you guessing on their ages. But Marty's been to 3 Briars. He used to play for Jamie Cooey in Northwest Territories, attending the 9 to 2011. So lots of experience in these kind of situations. Hasn't played in a Nova Scotia Tankard for 10 years.
Oh, they're going to get by the guard? Uh-oh.
They didn't make it by. So
I'm assuming there that they were trying to play a little bit of a bump, less than the hit weight we were anticipating. Possibly.
Yeah, or even just freeze bump. You would have taken away the back one. What you couldn't do is wreck on the front. And it just looked like they weren't on the same page with what weight was being played. They changed the shot, obviously. They went from soft weight draw. But that being said, it just looked like Marty wasn't sure of what the weight call was, because it curled more than he expected.
is an opportunity for Mark to get 2, I believe, or is he trying to play that? Is he trying to get to that yellow one or the blue
for 3,
one?
I
Is he
think.
going
Yeah.
for the third one?
I think blue's second shot, so just playing through the port. It's a very, yeah, it's just second shot.
Just, yeah.
So this is a tricky little play for 3 here, but it is for 3 points, which it would be huge. So this will float, and then they have to sweep to keep it straight. It's hard to believe that they went from being tight and not getting by that shot stone, swept it and ruined the line, actually hit the front. So that 1 point for Dacey, but be disappointed they didn't get the 3. 2-1 after 3 ends. MacDougall will have hammer in the 4th.
Just discussing the shot now. There's a lot of cleaning on the sheet. They want to make sure there's no handprints or anything out there, so they're making sure it's nice and clean to get the ideal ice conditions. A couple of the updates on the other games. Chad Stevens is up 2-0 over Power after 3 ends. And Mike Fleming is presently losing to Murphy 4-0. And Stuart Thompson is winning 2-1 over Kendall Thompson after 3 ends of play. This is Luke's first shot. Mark is tapping about halfway on the center line. Looking for a steal here. Good shot by Luke.
So now I think it's not too late in the game or anything like that. We're still in the first half. But Mark won't be happy to not have gotten those extra couple points there in 3. So I think he'll play pretty hard for a steal or a force here.
So you being a avid curler yourself, how hard is it to park that after having a little bit of an unfortunate break there?
It's, I think, mostly difficult because they just expected a different reaction out of the rock. So it's just adjusting your expectations there. Mark's no new guy to the game. I guess I can go through and former Brier champion, won a bronze at Worlds. He's been at 6 Briers. Lots of experience there. He doesn't take too much to heart. He'll just park it and move on. Sometimes looks a little frustrated out there, but just focused on what he wants to do in the next end. And plays styles, not scared of rocks in play, which is fun for the fans. And he has a couple provincial and national mixed titles under his belt too, so not bad.
He's a busy guy.
Senior age, I'll say
senior
that.
age as well?
Yeah, so three of the players on the right now, they could make a senior team if they really wanted to, but they seem content to play in the men's division. With the exception of Marty, who intended on playing seniors this year and somehow is here. It's because they won at the qualifier.
He's going to try to go in behind that the 3 center guards, I guess, if you want to call them 3 center guards, or just a little bit off the center. But Brent's going to try to suck one in there. Looks like it's slowly starting to move sideways, but probably going to pass the guard by a foot or more. Nice T-line wait, but unfortunately couldn't get it to Barry. Looks like Mark is going to come down and sit on it, I believe.
I think so. We really have to wait till the end to get any on these stones. There you can see it's almost half buried. So Steve Burgess will try and come down to it.
hear Mark yelling. That one seemed to get a little bit more finish. Maybe a little bit light. Did open up the shooter though.
And I think the thrown stone might have rolled into the rings. It's hard to tell from here. There you go. It's hard to tell from this angle too, of course. We're always looking straight down at the pin and at an angle on the rocks on the side. So you see some white, but that doesn't mean it's not on the rings.
So we'll wait to the end if that rock is still there, and there is an option. It may be measured to see if it's still in play.
Adam working to get this one to curl. You put the sweeper with their push in the direction of curl, close to the stone to try and maximize the curl.
It was a little heavy on that. Didn't quite get the weight he was looking for, I believe. So kind of tried to open him up a little bit, so he took away any chance of a double there.
Yeah, but it's pretty golden for the team without hammer. You've got some guard front and some stones out or behind the tee line. So if Steve can make a hit and little roll, this will be soft weight again. We're not seeing a lot of up weights. They're carrying very straight, and it's easier to control the down weight hits. So I think Steve control weight here. Can be a solid board.
Now he's trying to keep it straight. Andrew's trying to keep it straight a little bit. Nice little shot there.
And they rolled behind the mess.
Just kind of, I think I kissed the blue one there and just kind of rolled up a little bit.
It's a really good shot there from Steve. Now Brent's got to make a move. Dacey's shot. And there's shrapnel out front. So some cleanup here.
Try to remove at least two of the rocks up front, I would think. Like we're throwing some big weight here. I haven't laid a broom to it.
And that's just that straight ice with the up weight. It really won't move. You cannot be wide. I think Brent could have called that ice. There you see him. So Kirk threw what Brent wanted and didn't do what he expected. So those will have to adjust and tighten up the ice on those. You can pick it up with sweeping.
Mark looking to come in behind those guards again.
Yeah, I think so. You could guard out front, but I think at some point Brent will just realize he has to score and play a draw. So the call here is for the come around. If it's light, that's okay. Andrew Gibson throwing.
Andrew was with Mark when he won the bronze at the Worlds in 2004. He's got 5 Brier appearances, and they're not all with Mark, but a lot of them are. And 2006, he had a Brier 3rd place finish, and he's also a 2010 Canadian mixed champion. So Andrew has been around. He's not a senior curler yet, I noticed.
He's not quite there. He has a decade or so to go. Approximately.
Approximately.
And so what we did ask was for teams to send bios so that we'd have something to say about them. And if we don't have a lot to say about a team, it's probably because they didn't send much of a bio or any. And if you're a team, if you are playing in this event and you happen to be watching and you haven't sent your bios, you can still email them to me, and then I'll have something to say about you if I don't know. Most of these stats are from just looking up the history of when teams, when they played, a lot of these players would have played juniors.
So that opened up the front a little bit.
Certainly did. That was the made shot. That was what Kirk was trying to throw before, and Marty made it. With Andrews Rock coming deep there, it's not so useful for them as the team without hammer. They're really only in a good position to steal one. And even then, Brent has a shot right now at the button. I think you have to protect for now. You can't really hit the blue stone.
This is Andrew's second shot. Just try to guard it off for now. Luke is trying to keep it straight as possible. Doesn't want it to get too far over that center line because it'll start to go sideways. You can see it's slowly starting to walk to that center line now. And as the weight comes off, then it starts to walk even a little more sideways. So
yeah, for sure. And that's way more curl than we were seeing with any of the other rocks. But that was a guard. So I think that's a broom adjustment there.
At this point, is Brent going to try to come down and sit on top of that or possibly hit it?
Yeah, I think he can get at it with backline weight, put his shooter in an okay position. It's always the risk when you play a guard. You have to guard the rock perfectly or the other team will have something available. But we are dealing with stones behind the tee line, so for Dacey, chance to come down, and this one is hanging real wide. I don't even think it's on shot stone yet.
As soon as you up that weight, it is dead straight. And that one I don't think moved at all from the time he released it. So now
Where Kirk had one flash. So for that team, I mean, much different weight selections, but just that much on the high side of the center line isn't curling with any kind of weight.
Mark's got a couple options here. He could block it off. At this point, I don't think Brent's going to be able to peel all the guards. So Brent's looking to try to get in there somewhere. So he could block it off. He could come in into the rings, or he could even play a hit on the blue one there. Not sure what his final decision was.
I think it's just a guard or a tight, protecting the stone in the 4-foot. Just a tighter guard and giving a little more ice, given what happened on the last one.
In the top right-hand side of your screen, you can see the clocks ticking down. So all these games are timed, 38 minutes of thinking time, and that's from the time the opponent's rock stops to the time the shooting team's rock goes across the tee line. So still lots of time left for both teams. I haven't used too much. And I believe they get 2 90-second timeouts.
Yes. And there's a 5-minute break after the 5th end. So we're in 4 now. One more end, and then we're at the halfway point. So got a little rub on the front there. I think that actually worked out well for him.
Yeah, I think that the shot stone is pretty much buried.
Yeah, with the way I shouldn't say with the way it's curling, with the way it's not so much curling, it's going to be hard to get at that. It's over buried. So Brent now looking at clearing the other side of the sheet. I think he can get all of these guards moving. Mark would have wanted his a little deeper. Turned out okay, but Brent can get everything moving here. And then Mark will have a choice to hit the blue stone and force Brent to a single, or try and go for that steal.
Brent's just getting himself set up, going through his little routine. Every player has a little bit of a different routine they have. I think they're going to see a little bit of heat on this, but maybe not as much as I thought.
Really good result there. Getting a couple stones moving.
Definitely have the shot rock wide open now. The right-hand side is still got that one guard out there, but
It's a tough decision if you're Mark Dacey right now, because you'd really like to steal, but even if you put up a guard, if you don't put it up perfectly, say, you know, what happened in the other end happens at your rock picks, well, it's an open hit for 2, and you don't really want to give that. So it looks like he is calling the guard, maybe bringing it in a bit tighter than the last one. You could also hit that blue second shot stone, and that would be for the force.
Yeah, if you hit and stock or even hit and roll away, you leave a wide open hit for its 1.
It would be a wide open hit, but it's in a spot where that team has missed a couple this end.
Oh, that's
so
true,
I'd be
yes.
It can be the non-threatening way to steal is by just getting a miss out of the other team.
So Mark is one of the, I don't know what to say the last, but one of the, I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
Remaining?
Maybe, yeah.
Remaining?
People who lift the rock when they still throw. Actually, I think there's a few that still do maybe when they throw hits and stuff. But the younger generation now, they're not hitting the rock, or not lifting the rock at all, and just a little backwards motion. Looks pretty good. I don't know if he can get in on the right-hand side. Can he get through those 2?
No, there's no hole there on the other side, so I think that's all they need to do is keep it as high as they can while still
oh, that's a good angle there,
blocking that hole. Yeah, it doesn't look like you can fit a rock between those.
Draw down there to get to the button to be shot?
I'm not sure. That's why I think it was a pretty good shot from Mark.
It looks really good.
It's actually blocking the actual draw path. Might just be able to go where Kirk's broom is. Marty sees a shot that Marty likes.
Is he looking at hitting
Brent
his own?
Seems to be ignoring it.
And
yeah.
rolling across?
No, he's looking at a angle run on the blue. Brent's looking at it now. It's definitely there, and it's for 2.
Oh, the high one up on the right-hand side. Okay.
It's a pretty low, I shouldn't say it's too low risk. If you double your own out, you give up a steal at 2. Maybe 3 if that top yellow's in. When you're up a point, it is a tough call. You get 2 on this shot, it's great. You just don't want to give up the 2. You can give a single. It's a safer way to try and score by playing the draw for sure. So this is a more aggressive call. Probably the safer way to go is a touch less. So the thicker you hit this, the more chance of running onto your own, but up a sweeping so much that I think you're safe with less ice. So we'll see what happens here. Brent MacDougall facing 1. Up 1, playing 4.
This looks close. Beautiful shot.
So he sticks that. That's 2 for Brent MacDougall. What a great shot. So playing 5 now is up 4-1. Dacey will have hammer, and you can't always defend against something like that. That was a really nice shot.
That was a beautiful shot. They called that, executed it perfectly. Sweepers were on and off, trying to steer it a little bit, and great shot. See over on our game, Stevens and Powers all tied up after 4. Fleming and Murphy, I can't see. I believe Murphy's standing right where the
Yeah, I think there was a steal of 4, so I think it's 8-0.
And between Stewart and Kendall, it is 3-2 after for Kendall Thompson. So that's another close game. All the games are, well, 3 of the 4 are fairly close. Watching the first rock come down here for MacDougall. Just throwing it in the top of the 4-foot. Anticipate you're going to see Mark throw a guard.
Nice first stone from Adam Barry. We've got one more fun fact for Team MacDougall. I'll let everyone know. I don't know if Brent knows that these fun facts were put out there. They all seem to be they're being a little hard on Brent. Just take away his calculator, and he pushed Marty into playing men's instead of seniors. But apparently, during the World Financial Group Jim Sullivan Classic in St. John, I believe that this happened. I think Brent got lost in the woods. He missed half a game.
Nice.
That sounds like something Brent would do.
I'm also looking down here, and it says that he's a snappy dresser.
He is a snappy dresser.
Pretty non-snappy today.
I know they got their boring uniforms on, right? Usually he's got snappy shoes and some kind of a scarf. And then, of course, he's got like the biggest gloves I've ever seen in my life that he wears to curl because his hands get cold. Anyway, he's doing very well this game.
He is doing very well.
And a nice tight guard there, Adam. Two good shots from Adam. Corner guard came up from Luke, so Luke will try and go around his own guard. I like the way Mark's playing these corners further over into the wings. I think he's given himself more of a chance to make these come-arounds. And they were set up well to steal. Brent had to make an excellent shot for the two last end. It was basically two or you give up a steal, so
this one
not much you
taken off a little bit on him.
Yeah, they're working hard to get it by. It's still by, I think.
Oh, just by. Good shot.
And that's how you make that shot. You use your sweepers. It's a good one.
The front ends of all these teams, I would think, by the we're going to be starting to be looking for some relief from A535 or some facsimile thereof to release some of their sore muscles. It's a hard go to play that many games and be on the front end of a team. That was just a little rip off the guard. That's what opened up the yellow there on the left-hand side of the sheet. Right-hand side now, I guess.
The thrown stone actually ricocheted off and touched that tight guard, but didn't move it too much. Moved it enough that I think that the shot stone is accessible, though, for Steve.
He's working this hard once they get past that guard there. Great little shot there. Just to push it to the back. Still in play. Yellow is presently sitting too.
Yeah, it does the trick. It's a good shot.
When I was a junior, and we'll just say this ago, one of the first things I remember a guy that taught me how to curl told me was when you're losing, just tap the other opponent's rocks to the back of the 12-foot, set up a wall back there.
Yeah, it's a strategy that comes in play a lot when you need points and you know you're going to be hitting, you need that protection. So if you don't have guards out front, you can certainly have things, those stones protecting you at the back. Then a nice little hit and flop. Didn't quite get the roll behind the guard that they were looking for. So I think Steve will have the same shot now. If he hits the blue. Might have to roll the shooter to be shot, but that's okay.
This one's even a little bit more open than the first one he just he played.
Nothing from the sweepers yet. They have to wait for it. Don't want to hit it so thin that it rolls out, the shooter. So they waited long enough, and sure enough, came up, rolled away, and a good shot there.
I think you can see it on the camera, but I believe one of the blue is still hanging on back there at the back of that 12-foot.
There, you can see it, yeah, sitting on the blue, so it's about half on. But the two yellows are shots, so Brent's going to ask Marty to hit one of the open ones. This one's a little higher in the rings, and he's going to try and roll that behind the center guard. This one is taking off, though.
I don't know if he got a little tight on that. It just, he was hammering from day one, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure, and it's been hard to throw tight on this ice, so Marty must have been quite tight.
Mark looked like he's going to try to come in behind that center guard again.
Yeah, the idea is, you know, try and separate your rocks as much as you can, but there's only so much you can separate stones when you have 12 feet of ice, and people can make crosshouse doubles, so just try and get a piece of this buried. I think the key is not having it so deep that there's a double off of one of the other yellows. So top 8 foot or even back in the house could be fine.
This one looks like it might be going to the back.
It is, yeah.
It's gonna, that yellow one that was there is just enough that he bumped it out.
Well, that gives you your separation that that you're looking for. If it's not going to be high house, take it all the way to the back. Brent will just look for the roll again here behind that guard.
See, he's not taking much ice there, so let's see what happens with this one. It's Marty's second shot, the 5th end. So this one, they're not, they haven't really laid a broom to it. This one looks like it's going to catch it on the outside.
Well, they weren't calling for the double, and it didn't make a double. It actually just jammed. So again, chance to sit 3 for Team Dacey. Really good chance to score 3 points this end. And some people might play a come around that center guard, but I think if you do that, you're probably going to leave a double off the yellows, or I suppose that's what Brent would play. You're not going to get too cute and try to run back and miss everything.
Yeah, I guess, and if Andrew happened to go behind the center one, and Brent may come sit right on top of it and try to take the end away. So lots of, there's always different options, and everybody watches the game and looks at, oh, I would do this. And probably Selena and I don't agree with all the shots that either one of us I would call if we were out there on the ice.
It's true, there's different styles of play, and really it depends on what works for your team and what you're comfortable with. So if you're the skip and you're okay, you know, potentially facing a few on your last, and call it aggressive. I'll be the first to admit that my team plays a much more defensive style of game. We can tend to get in trouble when we have too many rocks in play, and so we like to keep it clean. It might mean that our scores don't climb as high as some of the other teams, but ours don't climb as high, but neither do our opponents. I guess that's the safe way of playing.
For sure. So it looks like Brent looks like he's going to, I think he's going to play the hit and roll here. I looked away for a second, and I didn't see where he just tapped the broom there, but it looks to me that he's going to, based on the broom where he has it now, he's going to play hit and roll in behind that center guard.
I think so. You're up 3. You can give up 2, maybe 3, but I wouldn't play the draw and chance 4, and that's way too much ice for the draw anyway, as we know.
It should be pretty straight there, yeah.
So Marty must have been real tight, because this is, you know, negative ice. It's inside the center of the rock.
Sprint's first to the 5th end. They're trying to keep it on. Looks pretty good, I think. They can hold it.
So what they were doing there, they were, I think, trying to hit it thicker and make the roll behind, but then when it was curling too much, they let it go to get the thin double, and ended up. It did jam, but yellow still sits 2, so another chance for Mark to make it the draw and sit 3.
So where's Mark going to go with this one now?
I think the same, over to the side of the 8 foot.
Okay, yeah.
On the right side of our screen. I would just be looking for as much separation as possible with all the yellows.
Try not to set it up so Brent has any sort of a double on his last.
Sweepers seem to like the speed. Maybe not so much now. They're going at it.
Going hard. Oh, or on and off. On and off is usually a good sign.
It means they don't know if they should or shouldn't, which means they probably are okay doing either. Want this a little deep. They don't want, if Brent makes the hit and roll, they don't want it so high in the rings that it's inaccessible, so that's pretty good. There's no easy double on the two yellows, the front and back. So I think all Brent has is this hit and roll. And if it's not perfectly, Mark will have a shot for 3.
So Brent's just going to want to try to roll behind that blue guard out there. It's a fairly tight guard, but a guard. And then force Mark to either some sort of a pick, if possible, or draw for his 1. It's not made perfect. Our sheet D between Mike Fleming and Jamie Murphy. Mike got 2, so it's 8-2 right now after 5 ends. They're just a little bit ahead of us, and they're just starting the 6th end now. Sleeping it pretty hard. Did he lose it?
Yeah, they were playing that for the roll, so that's Brent's previous one over curled too, and Marty's. I assumed it was because Marty threw it tight, but maybe they're just discovering that the ace is not straight because he missed the entire rock.
So this leaves Mark a draw for 4. Stevens 4-2 over Power after 5 ends. So Mark's last shot of the 5th end. Pretty much full 12-foot will get him a 4. Boys are just keeping it clean, on and off. Looks pretty good. Looks like a 4-ender.
Yeah, a big one. We had a 4-ender on our sheet E as well. Stuart Thompson took 4. I was trying to see what happened, but took 4 on Kendall, so it's leads 6-3. And in our game, Dacey will lead for the first time, 5-4. So we're going on a 5-minute break. And we'll catch you back in a few here at the Deloitte Tankard at Dartmouth Curling Club on Bell 5 TV 1.
I think everybody is too soft shooting, or the ice is too soft. I don't know. Like, I've noticed even my if I'm warm, it's warm. Because I'm hot, it's cold. Didn't do it the other side. I think something that's we wear up off the
Welcome back to the back half of our 10-end game between Mark Dacey and Brent MacDougall here at the 2018 Deloitte Men's Provincial Championships at the Dartmouth Curling Club. Presently, Mark is up 5-4 after 5 ends, and Mark will get us started here. With Selena Thompson for the back half of the game. And if you're just tuning in, just a quick update across the sheets here. Chad Stevens is up after 5 ends, 4-2, and Murphy is up over 8-2 after 5, and Stuart Thompson is up 6-3 over Kendall Thompson.
So Chris, what have you thought about the first half of the game? We were kind of talking over the break, a little bit of a surprise there in the 5th end.
Was a little bit of a surprise. Unfortunately, Brent's team had a couple misses, and that left a few rocks around for Mark. And Mark managed to get his 4-ender there, which has brought him right back into the game. Not that he was out before, but a little bit of a surprise. Lots of rocks in play in the first half of the game, so I anticipate probably the same for the back half.
Yeah, I'd expect so. And I'm just thinking, you asked earlier, Mark gave up the steal in the 2nd end and then only got 1 in the 3rd, and you were asking, oh, how do you know, he might be a bit frustrated, and you just have to be so patient. 10-end games are long. They last about 2.5 hours. There's 38 minutes for each team of thinking time. But then you have the time that the rock travels down the surface. So all in all, you're out there for 2.5 hours, and it's tiring. And you have to be patient and take your opportunities when they arrive. And that's exactly what Team Dacey did in the 5th end. Yeah,
that was great. That I mean, Brent made a great shot there in the 4th end. That angle raised for his deuce. So saw some good shots here for the first half, and I anticipate more of the same for the back. So Brent has the hammer. He just Brent threw up a corner guard there, the blue rocks, and Mark has one sitting on the button and center guard right now, and Mark is the yellow rocks.
It's always interesting to see what the skip with hammer calls too. So calling to come around the center. He did throw up the corner guard. Usually you throw that for a reason and you'd like to come around it, but sometimes the other team, the team without hammer, their rocks are in great position, and Luke Saunders has done that, so that's why Adam Barry's being asked to actually make the come around the center instead of the corner. And you just see Luke following the stone down. They are always paying attention to what the other team is doing. The speed, as a sweeper, Luke wants to watch what every draw is going to look like so that he can judge his own team's rocks.
I noticed he was using a stopwatch there, so he would be timing the rocks, would he, Selena?
Timing them from the back line to the hog. So if you're doing the splits as a sweeper, most sweepers will rely just on a visual, but you like to have that split. So it's going to be anywhere from, depending on the weight for a draw, high, low 4 seconds. So it's like, 4.1 or something like that might be a guard, and 3.9 might be a draw. So that's back line to hog. And then the skips often will take hog to hog measurements. So that's from the throwing hog to the playing end hog. And that gives you an idea of the at the game. So I haven't been timing, but I did hear that a top 8 stone was about 16.5 seconds hog to hog earlier, and that's fast.
Yeah, that's really quick. So we've got a few guards in play here. Brent's going to try to remove at least one of them. He's tapping his head, so that usually signifies big weight, peel weight. Be really careful watching as we watch the first half of this game. If you float them out at all, they don't tend to come back.
No.
So he just ripped the top one off. Mark's indicating throw up another guard. Okay, he's indicating right in between the yellow and the other color.
I know they're so difficult to remember. But they want this to be a high guard. The reason being Brent's going to be asking his team to peel, so the further the Yellowstones are away from each other, the harder it'll be to remove two of them. So this one looks like it is a high guard. They're just sweeping it for line to get it to keep moving. I think that does the trick.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much where Mark asked to put it. Right, he's asked right between the two of them, and that's where it is. Brent's just looking at some different options. He'd like to peel two of them off here if he can.
Yeah, I think if you peel the high yellow into the tighter one, you're good. It looks like he's going one because it's open. Problem with this is if you make it, great, Mark will draw one around, and if you miss it, well, then there's going to be another rock out front.
He's going hard.
This is a good shot, actually overswept.
So sets up another corner guard for Brent. Mark is probably just going to throw another guard here, I would anticipate.
Yeah, the higher the better.
Makes the higher they are, it makes the run back a little bit harder.
There's always going to be double run backs. It's hard to prevent everything, so just try and put it in a good position and make the shots for your opponent a little bit harder.
There's lots of passion out on the ice. Trying to move this one over, on off, on off.
Now they just want it to stop. They don't want to uncover the shot stone. It is high, and it probably looks pretty juicy to come after, though. But
it does. I think you might be able to get in there if you wanted to.
Yeah, I just don't think Marty can see enough of it to do anything useful.
Well, it almost fell over the rock. Looks like he's looking at the double peel, maybe?
I think so. I think that's a smart call. It's 6 then, you're down 1. You'd love to score in 6. Of course, Mark Dacey would like to steal.
Yes, he would. Ooh.
That's a bit unfortunate with where that rock is ending up.
Yeah, that was.
Could be. I mean, it's 2 yellows in the 4 foot. Or you could look at it one or the other. Now it's hard to guard both.
That was an unfortunate break there. He did get the double, which is what he was playing. But that corner guard that was way over there kind of hit that, and then the shooter spun back into the rings. Mark's just going to throw up another guard here.
They're probably looking at which rock to guard with this stone. I think you guard the higher one or split them. This looks like it's going to split center.
Is that going to overcurl a little bit?
It did overcurl, and what they wanted to do was actually tick off. When it was overcurling, they wanted to tick that tight one, and it just froze to it. So Brent can see all of the higher stone, which is on the left. I don't know that he can see enough to get a double on the other over the top. He might have to play the slash. But here is a great opportunity to get the entire front open.
He's looking, it seems to be, Marty might have been looking at possibly coming in there, and Brent's looking at possibly doing the top one.
Yeah, I just think if you play onto the top one that's in the rings, you're not going to get shot out of it, and
No,
they'll
you
keep guarding. So you could play a slash to get the double shooter. I mean, I think you have to protect your ability to score. They're calling timeout.
So it's our first time out of the game. 90 seconds. The umpire has a stopwatch, and they will time it. I'm not sure. Do either one of these coaches or teams have coaches?
No, I was just thinking, I was going to say, if their team had a coach, they could talk to them. But you just take a 90-second pause to think, okay, what's our goal here? And what can we achieve with these shots? I think you got a little lucky you can make that peel and give yourself a couple chances. But if you put one in the rings there and it's not perfect, I just don't think it helps you that much if you're blue.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess, is there another option there of hitting the shot stone and kind of almost flopping right in front of the yellow one and try to play the four? But
well, Brent has
oh,
hammers.
yes, sorry.
Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to say.
I was just looking at that after I said that. I said, oh.
You won't have a chance to score, I don't think.
Exactly, you're right.
If you put one in right now. I know he's seeing it as a good chance to get at these shot zones, though. I mean, if you play the slash, you just hope that Mark doesn't make a good draw.
Yes. And if you play the slash, do you think you can hold your shooter there on the outer wing?
Doesn't look like it to me. I think it's you have to hit that yellow, the higher yellow, where Marty's broom, Brent's broom is fairly thin, and your shooter will roll out.
So this is Marty's second rock.
So he makes a double, but there you go. Shooter's gone.
So Mark is going to definitely try to come in between those two guards. So just looking over there, it looks like Chad Stevens just stole two. So he's 6-2 over Power.
Yeah, and I saw Chad, it wasn't last shot, but it was his last shot, make a really nice one. Soft weight tap, and I think that's what got that 2-point steal going.
It's good.
So just as expected, made, but the guards are still out front, so Mark has a chance to put another good one in there. We'll be looking for 4 foot.
So if you have the opportunity, please drop by the Dartmouth Curling Club. We are down on Canal Street, right downtown Dartmouth. Drop in and watch some shots. These is probably the premier curling in Nova Scotia right now, or for this year, I would think.
Absolutely. This is the week that these all play for, and if for the 2 lucky winners of the Scotties and the Tankard, the Deloitte Tankard, they get to say that it was another week that they played for all year, and that's their respective national competitions.
So the Nationals this year is a little bit different than it was last year. So at the national level, in previous years, we were relegated, and we were playing to get in after they won this spiel.
Well, they didn't call.
Oh, they did.
Pre-qualification.
Yes, pre-qualification. Yes. But this year it's changed, and this year it's a pool system, similar that they've done with the mix the last few years.
And the juniors has been like that too.
Yes, right. So so everybody gets to go. And you'll start out playing in pools, and after, I don't know, a few days, like I don't remember the exact details, but you'll basically either go into a championship pool or a seeding pool. And if you're in the championship pool, obviously you're playing for the championship. And then go into the Page playoff.
So Mark made a draw, and Brent didn't really have much of a choice but to peel. He couldn't access it, so this is, again, the way we said things would go, and that was the risk in playing the double on Marty's second shot. So now Mark's just going to guard his shot stone. Probably not too tight to the rings.
Mark makes a great shot here. May put the force on.
Sure will, or has a very good chance to steal, too. It's in the top 4 foot.
is Mark's last rock. Just lightly cleaning it, not a lot of pressure on. Luke's starting to put a little bit of pressure on the broom now. That looks pretty good.
That would have been, if you drew that up, I think that the team would have put that right there.
Yeah, I don't think you could have placed that any better. That's going to force Brent to try to come right down there. He's got to be a little more than full 4 foot to get his one.
Just hear a little bit of talking. Luke saying to Mark that they got that spot figured out. They had a couple misses earlier, and Mark saying, "Well, when you play on the same page." Sometimes it's as simple as that with a curling team. Everyone just gets in a groove, and I think, scoring 4 always helps.
So now, in a 10-end game, does the ice tend to change, or from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, will it stay kind of the same?
It depends a lot. There's a lot of factors that go into it, of course. The weather outside, playing a big one, you do certainly have a little bit of breakdown, and sometimes that just happens when the ice hasn't been prepared. So between each draw here, we're getting the ice scraped and pebbled and nipped to prepare it. So don't expect to see as much breakdown as you might have during league play. Just see if Brent can make this draw here. The line looks good. He's like to get full 4, a piece of the button, and that looks pretty good.
Great draw. So we're all tied up after 6 ends of play here at the 2018 Deloitte Provincial Playdowns.
I think Marty just wanted to look at that shot for a little while there before he kicked the rocks away.
So you're going to take another 6 inches of ice. They shoot their branch. Come up anytime.
You can hear the microphones out on the ice. Once in a while we'll pick up some of the things they're saying out there. And we do have our first final. Team Murphy, after won 10-2 over Mike Fleming. And the Thompson brothers are in a close one. Stuart Thompson is up 6-5 over Kendall after 6.
Yeah, Kendall got a 2 back in the 6 to come within 1 point. And I was joking earlier. I said I called Mike Fleming Paul by accident and didn't really think he's playing Murphy. Mike's brother Paul plays on Team Murphy, so 2 brother games out there.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I don't think there's. Oh, there's the Rayfuse. They're brothers, aren't they? Alex is out, and that's on Greg Power's team. Alex is out this game.
Yeah.
Graham Weagle sparing, but it's that team. And if they're not brothers, someone can correct me. I was pretty sure they are. Or cousins.
Could be.
Someone tell me. We got a tie game here. Sheet C, draw 1 of the Deloitte Tankard, the men's provincial curling championships here at the Dartmouth Curling Club. You're watching on Bell 5 TV 1. Thanks for joining.
This is Saunders' first rock of the 7th end. Looks like it just over curled a little bit, or is he playing the tick shot?
Well, I thought they were playing the come around, but you can turn it into a tick if the line looks good, and that's exactly what they did there. Mark really focusing on rolling the shooter into the rings, and I think he'd like to play this end a little more clean, maybe get hammer in the 8th.
So just playing a little hit here, fairly wide open. This one starting to take off on him. It's got a piece, I believe. Maybe not just that it spun out of play.
Kirk was lucky he could hold that one. That was going, and Team MacDougall's been caught a few times with that. They're seeing the ice is very straight, and they've had misses on the wide side, and they've also had a couple misses narrow as well. Luke Saunders, who mentioned earlier, it's his first year on this team. Andrew and Mark have curled together for many years, and with Steve for years. Luke's the new guy to the team, but he's seeming to fit in great, and he was a champion in juniors in 2013. Was his year to go to the junior nationals and placed third. He actually played with Stuart Thompson, and Luke's got a little bit of a famous curling family. His parents are both notable curlers in the men's and women's and the respective senior levels. That's Scott Saunders and Colleen Jones. You may recognize their names.
Luke just made a great shot coming around that guard, the blue guard out there.
Yeah, he's made a couple of those, and I mentioned earlier, I like Mark's placement of those corner guards a little further out. It keeps the 4 foot free and makes it easier to come around. And I suppose makes it harder for the other team to make the runbacks too, as we see.
Just got enough of it that
that
it's
one
out
made.
of play. No rocks in play. This is our clean I think we've had since we started today.
Sure is, and that's by design. It definitely Mark wanted it this way. He would like to have the opportunity to blank 7 and have hammer an 8.
So by blanking the 7th and having a hammer in the 8th, he's thinking a hammer in the 10th coming home.
Yeah, exactly. 2 hammers to 1. And if you score in both of them and force the other team in the 9th, then that's a winning formula.
So Brent's he's playing pretty wide open this end as well. I would have thought he might have put a little bit of pressure on, but
he did put the center guard up, but didn't elect to come around, so he hit the stone.
This one's going
Dacey put in
quite a bit
another,
too. I think this is
miss.
a miss. Yeah.
Brent let off the sweeping on that. I feel like he might have kept them on and could have ticked that rock. I know they're tired though. They're sweeping a lot the past couple ends. There's all the senior age players on our sheet. They're gonna love that I said that.
Unlike the other end, that's the younger age. So we're just looking to put this one in the rinks, just somewhere in the vicinity of the 8 foot.
Yeah, I said Mark wants 8, but he'll take 2 and 7 if he gets 2. This one has to stop though. So maybe Andrew got to decide that they're going to go for the blank. Or sorry, Steve got to make that decision for Mark's team.
Brent's doesn't seem to be adjusting the ice here.
No, it makes me think that they're throwing them tight. I believe I just watched Chad Stevens make a hit to sit 4 against Greg Power, so he's putting the hurt on there. And this shot's made from Marty.
Now I think we'll just exchange rocks here on our sheet.
And we mentioned earlier, while this is looking like it's going to be a blank end, we get to get all our thank yous out of the way, or all our info. So we'd like to thank everyone for watching. And if you would like to come watch here all week, there's draws for the men's and women's provincials The next draw is the women's draw this evening at 7 o'clock. And then tomorrow we've got draws at 8, 12, 4, and 8. And we're back to 9, 2, and 7 on Thursdays, and then 8, 12, 4, and 8 on Fridays. So there's lots of games to come see at the Dartmouth Curling Club. And of course, you can watch every draw on Bell 5 TV 1. If you are following a certain team, check them out on nscurl.com. You can get a link to the broadcast, but you can also see the live scores being updated. And if your team is playing on C or D, then we've got it broadcast.
This end still pretty much wide open. One yellow way over on the wings. I don't believe it's in play. Looks like we're just throwing just putting a rock in the rings here. You're going to see some good action this week, so please stop by, watch a game, watch us online. We've got on-ice seating here, which is a bonus. You can be out there with the curlers, bring your bells and your horns and cheer them on. Mark's just going to hit this one here, just at the top of the 12-foot. This is Andrew's last rock. Just keeping it clean. Looks pretty good, just on the nose. I'm not sure if it's on or not. I'll let you know when we get an overhead shot. And, ooh.
Doesn't look like it is.
Doesn't, no.
I think if it was on whatsoever, we'd be seeing a hit, so it's not. So Brent's probably going to try and draw around it. And I'll just try and figure out what's the best way to get the curl. Probably going to have to take this stone deep, but either way, that's good. It'll be a force. As long as it's fully buried and he can get Mark to play the draw. It's not the way Mark would have wanted this end. He was going for his 2 points and just needed to make a little roll on that stone.
Didn't quite get the roll he was hoping for. And over between Stevens and Power. Power got 1 in the 7th, so it's 6-3 for Stevens after 7 ends. I believe Chad, the good shot there, as Selena had mentioned. But,
yeah, you made a nice double to sit 4 and
He
force
did.
Greg to make the hit for 1.
Yeah, Greg didn't have the hammer, so. Brent's first one here, he's just getting himself lined up. It's nice to see that the temperature has warmed up outside from our -17 on the weekend. So if you're, I'm sure that'll hopefully bring on some more spectators, so they'll be wanting to venture outside again.
Absolutely. I was taking the dogs to the park and I thought I lost feeling in my shins. It was so cold.
It was not a nice weekend to be outside. That just clipped the yellow one going by there and just kind of rolled a little bit to the back of the 4-foot in the open.
I don't think it chipped it in, but if it had chipped that yellow any more, it would be in, and this would be playing for 2. In this case, Mark just has to decide, do I want to try and flop under and go for my 2 or roll away and blank? I think he'll go with his original and go for the blank. It's the safer call. Just looking at the stop clock in behind, there's just over 10 minutes on Team MacDougall's clock. They have 3 ends left. You'd like to have 3.5 to 4 minutes per end.
MacDougall used 1 timeout, correct?
And they did use 1 timeout, yeah. So they're cognizant. They tend not to be the fastest team out on the ice. I don't think Mark's going for that little flop over to behind the guard, but it's not going to make it.
Didn't seem to get a lot of movement there.
Oh no, they were playing the flop away. And it looks like it's so tight and
So we got 2 rocks left here in the 7th end. Yellow is 1 wide open. So what is Brent going to do? He's a couple options. He could come behind.
Yeah, I'd like to know. Marty kind of indicating a draw. I'm not sure. Would make it look like that top yellow's on, but I don't. I mean, even if you risk giving up 2, I don't think you the draw and risk 3. I don't think that top stone's in. You just hit the open one.
What about the one on the right? That one on the right isn't on. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes from our camera angle, but
yeah, it just hasn't seemed like either team has been playing under the impression that those stones are in.
yeah. So it looks like he's just going to play the hit here, and he's taking a little bit more ice than he had in previous ends. So
I would hope so. He flashed one here and gave up 4 points. Of course, we're the pros behind the glass. We know everything.
Exactly, and I'm sure Mark knows the first one, so he's trying to roll it out there. But no miss this time, right on the beak. So Mark is going to try to blank this end. He'll want to roll out a play and retain the hammer.
And again, it's going to be fairly tight ice, and they'll sweep it out to get the stone out for the blank. I guess we got a few people watching, getting a couple texts. All good things.
All good, all good.
No, it's been a fun game to watch so far, and we're tied, so you know it's a good one.
This one, oh no, they rolled out.
Yeah, when you throw that amount of weight, Mark can throw it just as hard as almost anyone else here. They have a huge chance, I think, sticking around. I don't think they'll look at those.
No, they pushed him off, so there was no doubt in their mind anyways. I guess we were the only ones that must have had the doubt.
Well, it was when Marty was indicating that maybe they draw, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe they're facing 2, but still would be hitting my way out of things.
So we blank the 7th end. Mark will retain the hammer going into the 8th end. So I think we're probably going to see guard here. Yeah, it looks like Brent is indicating a tight guard. Just somewhere in the vicinity of the Deloitte sign. Oh no, new plan. So looks like he just tapped the 4-foot there. So.
Well, I think it's interesting, curling. You can try and dictate the play of the game by putting up a guard, or in this case, Brent's coming in. I think he feels pretty confident that Mark's going to go for his 2. Mark has hammer, and he's probably going to try and score here a couple points, so Brent can feel comfortable playing into the rings. If it doesn't go so well, he'll have or Adam, the lead, will have a second chance at making a shot. So the play in this case, I think, is being dictated what the other skip will do. Of course, Mark can throw us all for a loop and try and blank 8 and 9. Or if he doesn't think this is in a great scoring position, coming to the back 4-foot, and probably see that corner guard go up.
Yep, exactly. That was a little deeper than Brent wanted to go, because he would like to be in front of that tee line. So Mark's throwing up the corner guard. It's Luke's first shot. Looking pretty good coming down. Just a little bit of cleaning. There we go with going with the center guard now.
Yep, doesn't have. I think this one could be brought into the rings, but it's always a little bit of a delicate game. Mark's probably going to go pretty hard for the 2, so Brent has to go fairly hard for the force or even a steal. When you're constantly trying to outwit and outplay your opponent, it can be an exhausting game. That's why we like it.
So I'm just looking at Adam's comments here, and so he's an avid BMX biker and he's built his own ramp in his backyard. That sounds kind of cool.
They're not small, the BMX ramps. He's pretty talented. He's been doing that for ages.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did it as a kid. I'd be scared I'd kill myself right now if I didn't. I'm a little on the clumsy side, so.
I remember talking to Adam. I saw him back curling after his this, and asking how does it feel to be back, and he goes, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But he seems to have really picked up. He was struggling with the touch game, so being able to adjust your weight, he was finding, or at least from what I could see, he was throwing his rocks heavy, but he seems to very well adjusted after just a few months with this team.
These guys go pretty hard from roughly, September till now. A lot of them are going almost every other weekend, or some even every weekend, I guess, in different cash deals throughout the Atlantic provinces. I think there's some go to Ontario just to gain that experience, and it's a pretty big commitment. You can see they all, for a lot of the teams, they'll have their sponsors all over their shirts and their jackets, just trying to help them cover some of the costs that incurred throughout the sport and to get better. And a lot of the competition is all over the place. It's not always in Nova Scotia or PEI or New Brunswick. I guess Newfoundland, there's a good cash deal in Newfoundland. They still have that? Trying to think what the one there used to be in Newfoundland.
There's been a couple in Newfoundland this year. Is interesting, of course. Team Gushu, long-time Newfoundland Labrador representatives. Now there's a Team Canada, and they will be Team Canada. There's an opening for the other men's teams in Newfoundland who didn't really bother showing up so much in the past.
There's he's been the Newfoundland champion for a long time. I'm not even sure how many years it has been.
Oh my goodness, since the early 2000s. I think there was a break when he went to the Olympics in 2000, and then now. So it's a tough go. You do get teams that play, but they know that their chances of making it are slim to none when you have a world champion caliber team playing against you.
Did you have the pleasure to watch any of the mixed doubles?
I honestly did not watch that much of it. Trying to have a good work week last week, knowing that I would be here this week. But it's a really interesting game. I think the improvements, the changes that have been made with the moving the position of the initial rock that's in the rings from back button to back four, I think that was positive. And the power play is really neat to get to watch too. I don't know if anyone is paying attention either, but just to, if you're down in points, you have that one chance if you're the team with hammer to get your corner guard and play away from the center, because it really is a series of draws and freezes.
It is. It's a draw game. I believe the first 4 rocks you can't hit. Doesn't matter if
until after the 5th has been delivered, as far as I know.
And you only play with 6 rocks, so it's a totally different game, but it's kind of neat to watch. Anyways, this is the first time it'll be at the Olympics, so that'll be kind of cool. A little more curling action at the Olympics. So we've got a couple rocks in play here. Mark's got one sitting on the 4-foot there. And
so here's where I was saying too that you go for your steel or you go for the force. And stealing and forcing often look the same. The team without hammers trying to keep the play to the center. But with that one coming up light, good chance for Team Dacey to sit too, and there's not a lot left. We're halfway through the end after this shot.
So Mark's got a couple options. He could roll to the open side, or there's 3 guards up there. He could kind of try to roll behind on the right-hand side of the sheet as well. So let's see what we get here. just tried to roll it underneath. But I don't think it's completely buried.
Even if it's not, I think it's buried enough that Brent's got to do something here. And Brent has to be the one to make the good shot. Dacey has hammer, would like to score too, and he's currently sitting two.
Brent,
covered.
You can't see him from your camera angle. Brent's out in front of the rings. He's looking at the run back. There's a blue one. There you go. That's kind of a back on shot, but he's looking at playing the run back on the blue there onto the yellow.
The other primary color.
The other primary color, yeah.
So Marty Gavin will try that.
Pretty good shot. The shot rock, I think, is wide open right now. Well, maybe not quite wide open.
Yeah, the important thing was keeping the guards out front, which he did.
The one on the top of the, in the 8-foot there is, that was pretty much buried. I don't think you can get to that.
Yeah, it is buried. There's no hole between the guards out front. So it's interesting, the team with hammer putting in some sort of a center guard here, whether it's tight in the 4-foot if the line's looking good and the weight's there. This will be a shot where we see a lot of communication between the sweepers and the skip. They're going for weight. They're sweeping that hard and line as well.
Marcus hollering. Oh, that just seemed to go sideways on him. They were right at the very end. I thought that was by.
Looked really good, and the weight looked good too to be top 8-foot.
It did. It looked really good.
The now shot stone is definitely exposed.
You can probably see Brown. Oh, yeah, it's wide open. Brent plays a quiet weight there. He might be able to just over curl and flop behind there, maybe. So
yeah, it's went from being a great chance for Team Dacey to with a good run back from Marty and a little miss there from Andrew.
It's an emotional game, ups and downs.
It's true.
Looking for a bit of a big shot here from Marty. Wasn't bad. Didn't really get any movement left or right on that shot, but leaves it for Mark now to get see if he can get a little bit of an inside roll there.
I think at this point, with the way things are looking, if Mark can score a single, that'd be good.
We've seen this in other ends where it's dead straight there until it gets to that center line, and then it just walks over. This is looking pretty good. Yellow shot one, but I think it's almost maybe half open, thereabouts.
Yeah, probably about half. It's not an easy shot by any means.
You're flirting with that area in the center there where it starts to walk sideways. You don't want to have it over curl and wreck on the guard there. Same time, I don't think he wants to miss either. So definitely uses sweepers here. This is Brent's first one, I believe. Yep.
Yes.
This is Brent's first rock.
He's going for it. He'd love to sit shot buried, playing the 8th end, tied. definitely getting short on time, though. I think they got to pick up the pace a little bit here.
This is the eighth end, so we have 2 ends left. And usually around 4.5 minutes. Somewhere's there. This one's staying pretty your weight, and it doesn't move a lot. Looks like he's got a good piece. So just out. Couldn't hold the shooter, unfortunately. I think he wanted to hold the shooter there.
So it's interesting here. Mark would you're kind of committed. There's no blank that's happening at this point. You could still peel the front, which I don't hate, because I think you need to score. He'd love to score too, so I think that's kind of dictating what they're looking at here.
There's no really get at that blue one that's buried. So
well, yeah, you can't get at it with your thrown stone, but you can angle run something like this.
So
and again, I have to say I don't mind. They haven't looked at peeling the front, but I think giving yourself 2 shots on your last is a good idea. This would be, if this is made, yellow will sit 2, and I think have a very good chance at scoring 2. If this is missed, they'll have a hard chance at scoring.
We saw Brent kind of similar to this earlier in the game, so it's definitely there.
I believe it was this path in the ice too.
I believe it was, you're right.
Soft weight.
He's hammering it pretty hard. Just over curled a little bit. So
that was a risk with playing that shot, because Brent now has an overburied stone. He could put a second stone in there. Right now, Mark has a draw to the 4-foot. I'd be tempted to play that intern side. You have more room to get around the guards. You can put it right in the 4-foot.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you can either take it back, as he's indicating back of the 4-foot, or back button, or even, I think, even if he left it almost at the top of the 4-foot, almost equal, with that push him out a little farther. If he hit it, as long as he couldn't be shot stone out of it, would be another option, I suppose. So. Lots of discussion. I may be, at this point, I may be, I wouldn't say rushing, but maybe getting slightly concerned over my time.
Yeah, you can play an end in under a minute, but I don't think these guys will be playing any end in under a minute at the end of this game. So if you do run out of time, they still have one more timeout, but you only get that once, so you can't apply your 90 seconds across the board. You have to apply it to one shot only. And if you run out of time, you can no longer throw stones, but the other team can. So you can imagine quickly where that goes.
So it looks like they must have changed from where they were discussing earlier to just throwing the guard here.
Yeah, I think so. Just blocking the draw path. I think there's still an intern places on the wide left side and through the port. The port's obviously a very risky one there. So
I see over on sheet E, the Thompson brothers are all tied up after 8 ends of play. It's nice and nice close game for them.
And their parents are here, probably don't know what to do with themselves. It's the first game in a long week. And Greg Power still won on Chad Stevens in the 8th on sheet B, so still trails by 2 points, 6-4.
Mark is trying to figure out a path to get in there to get shot stone. Brent, by putting that blue one on the right-hand side there, kind of, he forces Mark out so far that I don't know if it'll come in enough to get shot. think Mark would probably love to bring his yellow one in at the back of the 12-foot, but
Yeah,
I don't know if there's
you've got
a
the
way.
draw for one, or you've got the angle run for two. Those are the two options there. He just missed an angle run to try and get two, and the thing is, you don't want to miss this run, give up a steal when you could have gotten a single.
So as we were watching, or not watching, but just looking over at the other sheets, Mark did call a timeout, so he had a timeout there he just used.
So I think they're going for this angle run. It's a you get 2 points, it's great. If he thinks his chances of making that draw are low, which, I mean, it's a different path than anyone else has been playing for these draws, I don't blame him for switching shots and going for this. Certainly if you make it, it's for two. Brent played that game earlier and it paid off.
Yep, for sure. That was a great shot he made. So this definitely there. It's
yeah, it looks like it's about 2/3.
Yeah, thereabouts. So you make this, you should get a deuce out of it. So the rock's coming down the sheet. On off is always a good sign. He's off, he's on. Oh, well, didn't quite work out quite as well as Mark. But
yeah, and they played it with soft weight. It was a good effort, and they were sweeping for line, and it backed it up. You have to wait so long and almost let it over curl. So a steal of one for Brent MacDougall in the 8th end. Big advantage there. Dacey blanked 7 in order to have Hammer in 8, and then ended up not scoring. So 5. MacDougall leads, Dacey with Hammer in 9. And we'll see Team MacDougall have to pick up the pace here. 4:40 on the time clock, and you'd love to have at least 3 minutes to play each end. They don't. They've got 2 1/3 to play each end.
Usually
I think you would have decided this between ends.
well, you're right? With 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go,
yeah.
You want to have a bit of a plan.
And the timers are kind. They don't tend to start the clock on the lead in an end, so they'll have savings that way, but you can't have too many team discussions with only 4:40 left. On the plus side, they are leading, so if they force, I think that's kind of their idea for this game. And I think you do play a tight guard. And I think Mark's going to just try and blank. So I think this has to be, well, they are bringing that in.
Yeah.
So I thought Mark was going to try and blank this. So he would have talked about this with Andrew. So they're comfortable with that stone being in the rings, and they'll just hit it. Down one with Hammer tends to be how people want to end the game.
So he's not wasting any time here. He's going to peel this off. Maybe hold the shooter if he can early on. If he could get a mitt full, that'd be great, but I don't see that happening. Mark just for a second. I'm sure he'll be right back. Anders holding the broom for him with one sweeper. It's a great shot right on the nose. The Marty is down at the other end telling Brent to pick up the pace a little bit. As Brent was chatting with Andrew.
I don't think Andrew's paying attention to Team MacDougall's clock like Marty is.
Usually teams will appoint somebody to clock management. Maybe Marty's the guy.
It is definitely. I encountered that this year at our team's nationals. Our opponents in the quarterfinals, Team BC, they did time on their clock in the extra end, and Skip ended up being quite rushed when she was throwing her last shot, and I felt bad. Her team kept saying, "We gotta go, and she didn't want to be rushed, but they were right. They did not have much time left.
I'm a little little surprised here. I would have thought that maybe Brent would try to play the steal here.
Well, I think you have to try and force, like play the steal or
Yes, force or steal, yes.
And I don't think you achieve that. I mean, maybe in an earlier end when you think that Mark's going to go for 2 points and you put one in and he's going to play the corner guard. But when Mark wants to blank 9, I wouldn't be putting my first rock in because now he's got either a blank or an easy 2.
Yeah, exactly. So I might have even thrown, if I was Brent, maybe my second rock and thrown it as a guard. Just trying to get something in play here because right now you're going to see Mark probably just keep one rock in play the whole game. And, you know, if there's a miss, great. And he gets a couple or more. And even a couple being up 1 without isn't an ideal situation. Brent also, I guess he wants to free up some time on his clock for the last end, so maybe he's playing that game and he'll keep it clean and give him some time at the end.
Certainly could, and they have been doing better this end. They only used 20 seconds end, so that's really good to see because they certainly you're going to need it in the 10th end, and I'm sure they'll be using that timeout too.
Things continue on the way we're sitting right now. We're headed in the a blank here. Just trading rocks on the wings. That one rolled out. Brent is gonna. I think he just indicated that he wanted a guard. So. Boys are just following the rock down the sheet. Lots of rotation on that one.
I suspect that there was probably felt something under that rock when he threw it because that is a spinner.
Didn't get the guard, but he put it right on the center line. So again, Mark's just gonna rip it off. So our next feature game will be the Scotties women's at is it 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock tonight, yeah.
7 o'clock tonight. So there will be 2 games streamed, but please drop into the Dartmouth Curling Club. Watch the ladies play. That'll be their second draw. And
I'm just about to tell you who it'll be.
Are you?
To get my file open. Everything's on the computer now, isn't it? I'm on my phone. So tonight at 7 on sheet C, this sheet, it'll be Kristen McDermott, who happens to be Kirk McDermott's sister. So we've got, it's not just brothers, there's brother and sister pairs out on the ice. And then on sheet D, it'll be Julie McAvoy and Marianne Arsenault. So you can join Dan Hobson and Luke is going to be coming from this game upstairs. He's commentating on his mom's game, the great Colleen Jones. Or you can hop over to sheet D, and that'll be Lisa and Corey doing the commentating for that game.
so that just rolled out.
Now Brent wants the guard. The worry here. Wants to throw an out turn. It sounded like he said another. He wants a guard.
I thought that's what he said as well. Yeah.
Mark might go around it.
He very well might.
Depends how he feels. I suspect he'll peel, but you never know. Sometimes the other team will just try and throw a wrench in your gears, wrench in your chain. I'm not good with those sayings.
Not good with those? No,
No.
I'm not good either. I'm good at screwing them up. So he got his guard. Looks like Mark's just going to rip it off.
Yeah.
He's not getting sucked into.
The hard thing is, if you have a chance for 2, it's great, but you're up 1 without playing the last. can tie it up, and then you have to play an extra end. If you blank 9, then you really do have to get your 2 and 10, but the game's over.
Exactly.
So you win with the same score in 10. And it's not an easy call. It's I find a lot of times, in the upper tier, the Grand Slam level, and in those, you go for your 2 points in 10 because you kind of have to. You don't want to be up 1 without. But I don't know. I see a lot of steals, and especially early in the tournament, I've been a little tempted to try and get 2.
Yeah, sometimes at stealing than they are with the hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you fall under that category?
No. We're not that good at stealing. We play it pretty clean, so it means we don't have a lot of guards in play.
So Brent's just going to put this in with his last one. That'll leave Mark appeal.
And if you look here and you think about it, on our sheet, Brent has had 2 steals, and Mark has had none. So maybe he doesn't want to try and steal. He wants a blanket and have the hammer coming home.
Looks like final between Stevens and Power. I believe Stevens won. Not sure that the final score is there. They're just shaking hands now.
Yeah, I see some blue rocks, and that was Stevens' color, and they were up. So after 9, we'll give that one to Stevens, and they'll put their first win in their win column. And we still have an open end on our sheet.
So this is Mark's last rock. Mark's going to try to peel this one off. If he hit and stuck here, so that kind of be a little bit detrimental based on the way that he tried to play the end.
Yeah, absolutely. He wants to roll out. He's blanked in this spot before, and what they do is they just give fairly tight ice and rely on Luke to sweep it out wide enough.
So he just kind of eased up on the sweeping, so a blank. So we'll be coming home. Mark Dacey will have the hammer. Brent MacDougall will be up 1 coming home. And Brent has 3 minutes and 18 seconds left, so that should be pretty good with the timeout.
Yeah, we were worried for them, but they caught up. They only spent just over a minute on that, so they have, plus their timeout, they have a little bit of wiggle room this end, but they'll still want to play it fast at the first half and give themselves time at the end to think.
So I would think Brent at this point is probably going to throw up. I didn't see where he tapped it, but I'm going to go with, I'd be trying to steal here. What are your thoughts?
Oh, definitely. Both teams would love to end it after 10. And I find that a steal and a force look fairly similar. You try so hard to steal, and maybe the other team has a chance for 1. What I don't think you want to do is try so hard to force Mark Dacey to 1 that you force him into a couple.
Yes.
So Brent has to be mindful, just keep the yellow rocks out of play, and it might have to go to an extra. You might have to concede a single point here and have hammer in an extra.
Mark's going to throw up the corner guard.
And Mark will go pretty hard for the 2 here, because as long as he has a way to score, it's he can be a little more risky in this in the last end.
Just an update after 9 ends. Chad Stevens beat Gordon Power 9-4. That game is finals. Boys are hammering this one pretty hard. Uh-oh. That's a bit of a miss. It just came up short. So the rock has to go over that blue thick line out there if you're new to curling. And didn't quite get over. So Brent's just throwing another guard. I don't know if you heard him or not, but he just said he wants a high guard. Doesn't want to group them too close. So I thought that's what he said, but maybe I missed that. I'm pretty certain he said high guard.
Yeah, you have 2 chances when you don't have hammer to get 2 guards. so you'd like to have them as far apart as possible. That one sure is heavy.
That definitely sets up the possibility for Mark to double them off and leave the center open if need be. You know, Mark is obviously looking for 2 here to finalize this game, but at the same time, Mark would like the center to be open so he can get to the button with his last one.
And with the straighter ice, I think Mark has a better chance of scoring his 2 by going to the wings. Oftentimes when you have overlap center guards like that, you'll see a team play the come around, but I really think it's hard to bury on that side.
It's a nice tight guard.
I think Brett might need another guard, though. He's playing to come in, but those are doubleable. Is that a word? Doubleable? No, it's not.
It's probably not, but I'm probably a bad one to ask. So the sweepers are saying T-line going down. Looks like it's starting to come now. So in the Battle of the Brothers, after 9 ends, Stuart Thompson's up 9-7. So
yeah, scored 2 in the 9th. They were tied and had a nice soft. They were sitting 4, so somehow Kendall cut them down, but Stuart had a soft weight hit to get 2 points.
So that was just a little bit heavy and went right out the back.
Yeah, it's not what you want if you're Team MacDougall, because now you have 2 overlap center guards and nothing in the rings, and Team Dacey going around a corner.
Got lots of room coming in there, so it's just a case of wait, and Mark would like to bury this.
At the very least, he's going to bring the play over to the wings, because Brent can't really ignore stones that are yellow in color. He really has to try and limit Dacey's ability to score, but yeah, things over to the side should have helped.
So we were talking about brothers and sisters and brothers. Is there any married couples in this?
There sure is. It would be the Coulters. Travis Coulter on Thompson. His wife Julia plays on Team McDermott. And I think that's it. Surprisingly.
Good shot. Didn't get the roll maybe he was hoping for, but removed the yellow shot. Or don't.
Lots of players who have played together at in different iterations throughout the years. I had seen Marty, what I didn't know, Marty and Brent actually did curl together before, but it was 13 years ago. That was before I knew either of them.
Marty's a fellow Shore boy. He's from Bridgewater. He grew up in Bridgewater. It's a good shot.
Beautiful hit and roll, and that's where those overlapping center guards, as much as it helps the team with hammer, it hurts them too. If you could make a draw around them, it would be great. I didn't think the draw was there, but that hit and roll is a peach by, who was that by? Steve Burgess, or was that by Andrew?
I think it was Andrew, yeah. That was a beautiful shot, because that is completely buried.
Oh no, sorry, it was Steve. This is Marty's first shot, and Dacey has hammer, so that would have been Steve. Sorry, Steve, it was your nice shot.
Trying to a little bit of an angle freeze here.
Yeah, it's about all they have is to try and shut down the scoring area, but it's going to be hard to prevent a score of 2. You have to get this all the way in there and probably at some point get another stone, although that's pretty perfect.
That's a beautiful shot.
Marty looks confused, so I want to just go tell him, you made a shot. He doesn't know if it's good. tell him. It was a great shot. It's right on the lid.
I know you guys at home can't see Marty, but he's kind of looks a little like, what? What just happened?
We call them the WTF hands out to the side going, I don't know. But I think Kirk let him know. He made
Mark's going to try to come down and sit on his blue, you think? Or sorry, on his blue, on his yellow one. So this is Andrew's first stone.
We'll get it right then.
11th end if we go to an extra.
This one's heavy.
It's not catching that curl.
It would be a great stone if you could ever get rid of it on the top 4 foot.
It would.
I'm not sure how they're going to do that.
I think the only way you might get rid of it is to peel off those 2 center guards. And then so you're looking at using 2 stones just to get off that blue one.
So Brent's calling his timeout. It's Marty's second, which means Brent will have 90 seconds for this stone. Brent will have a minute for each of his.
Which is ideal time as long as there's not too much discussion. I think you'll be in the seconds when Brent releases his last one.
The question right now is how do you prevent the other team from scoring 2? I think they're conceding the single point at this point in the end. You could play another one in there to the back 4 foot, right where Andrew just threw. Oh, and they did bring their coach out, Paul Dexter. Marty is Paul's coach on the other side of things. He takes off his player hat and coaches Paul's team, and I think Marty didn't realize they'd be playing against each other in men's play this year. Paul knows the angles pretty well. He's an accomplished skip at the junior level.
So what about if Brent was to come down and sit on top of his own blue one there? Maybe
well, I think you can do that. I just don't think that helps you. I think you got to tighten up the scoring area a little bit more.
Could he gently tap the blue one or yellow one back to the back of the 4, or because then that would change the advantage a little bit?
You're looking at the outturn side, right? I think so. Your shooter would roll open, and if you don't make the shot perfectly, I think you are giving Dacey a chance to get the 2. So I think that's why they are playing to this side, the open side.
Okay. This is what the sweepers get paid their big bucks for. Drag it.
Exactly. And this doesn't have to be back. It just has to be in a place where it kind of prevents Team Dacey from scoring. So it's not shot.
By putting it there, yeah, forces them almost to the other side now. Or I guess he could tap it back a little bit. Is there any
yeah, this is tight, getting tight in here, and I just don't love playing into the 4 foot, but we're down to only 5 rocks total. And Brent and Marty are going to have to decide on their shot almost before Brent goes down to throw. He doesn't have time, the luxury to think about it. So Mark's playing Andrew to play in here, and the thinking is if you can get this angled on the inside. Looks like it was thrown a little full.
Lots of discussion here. Looks like it could be a little warm. A little outside, but slowly coming in. Well, I think MacDougall is 1 now.
Yeah, I think they just promoted blue for shot. Not sure there. That was just a bit of a casual call. I don't think they ever planned for blue to be shot after that.
No. So what is Brent doing here now?
So Brent's hitting this stone. There is a slash on the yellow into the blue so that yellow can score a couple. So if this stone is removed and Brent can roll into the 4-foot, he really will be taking the end away from Mark. Mark will have the wide out turn draw for the second point, likely.
So he doesn't want to sit there then at all. He wants to roll away?
I think he would want to roll in.
Or roll in, sorry.
Into the button area, the 4-foot area. If you roll away, I think you risk making that slash shot. Oh, now they're going to roll it away. So is there a double on the blues? It's fairly thin, but I think it's there.
The spectators are moving in around us. Everybody wants to see. So.
Yeah, we got the best seats in the house.
Exactly. Mark is looking at a couple different shots here. And what's he decide? Is he trying to draw?
I don't know what they ended on. I think they are playing. It doesn't look like enough ice for a draw, does it?
I don't know, yeah. Just trying to hear, see if they can say what they're saying.
We'll see. If he throws the out turn, it's the double. Yeah, so he's thrown the out turn, so he is throwing the double takeout. So I have to hit the rock in the 8-foot. Pretty thin to make this.
I think it's over curling on him a little bit. I don't think he's going to get the roll he wants.
Working hard. Can roll into the buttons okay. Well, so there's the setup for the 2 points.
Yeah. So I believe if where he just tapped that was almost right in the 4-foot or 8-foot, 12-foot. But if you bring that in too far, does that give him an angle raise?
Yeah, sure does. Brent saying to put this into the top 12, but I think you just have to block the tap on yellow. Right now, blue's sitting on, and it's certainly in a vulnerable position, but there's not a ton. Mark will have, I think, a little raise on the other side too, actually. So you're really only taking one of 2 shots, but I think this is the easier tap away. Yellow's going to have to that blue stone at the back button.
And well, that's coming down. It looks like a tie game on between the brothers and an extra end.
So with that tap taken away, I think Mark will just look at this chip on the yellow. So all he has to do, if he just chips his own yellow a couple inches, it's good for 1. And if he can hit it hard enough into the blue stone at the back button for the second point, he'll take it for the win.
So yeah, the shooter, or the one there on the left-hand side, the yellow one, what, a couple inches at the most? The other one maybe 6 inches or more?
Yeah, you certainly see less on this side, but it's all he has. You recognize that. So here we go.
Look at the 10th end. Mark needing 1 to tie and 2 to win. Luke is was on off. On off is always a good sign.
This one's starting to curl now.
Looks.
And a nice shot. So that's 2 points, and that'll be the win there. Paid off to blank 9 and come home with hammer. So Mark Dacey, with that, picks up his first win. MacDougall will suffer their first loss, and we will catch you back here on Bell 5 TV1. Thanks for watching the Deloitte Tankard. We'll be back with the Scotties at 7 o'clock on sheets C and D. Follow along at nscurl.com. And on behalf of Chris Mosier and myself, Selena Thompson, thanks for joining us.